And we're live. Welcome back to Farm Talk Friday. It's our second one, but the first one on my personal feed.
I'm Ken, and this is Janine, of course.
Right. It's on my feed. So today we're going to talk about not using fossil fuels.
Yes, on Farm Talk Fridays, we're going to have wide-ranging discussions.
Right.
And
why is this one relevant?
Well, because when we moved to Costa Rica, we wanted to get in touch with nature. We wanted to use less fossil fuels. And I'm going to talk louder. Okay. So, when we moved here, not only did we want to practice permaculture, but we wanted to not use any fossil fuels in our house, in our farming, in our equipment, and in our cars. So, it takes a lot of work not to use any fossil fuels in the modern world, but we're doing the best we can, and I just wanted to go through a couple of vehicles here and tell you how we're doing it.
Great. Yeah, so I would like to jump in and mention something.
Okay.
So I subscribe to something called the REDD Monitor, so REDD-monitor. And it's a very interesting blog. And recently the writer wrote about like this Bloomberg thing, talking about carbon credits and kind of the mess that exists in that world and how sometimes they don't work. So what does work is keeping them in the ground. And so that's why I think it's relevant for us, because that is what we're trying to do here.
Keep it in the ground.
Keep it in the ground. All right. Go, Ken.
Okay. So I'm going to show you three vehicles. It's not like we have three cars. We have one car, and then we have a quad, and then we share an electric vehicle. So the first car I want to show you is our 2005 Land Cruiser Prado. This was a standard diesel engine, and we've converted it to run on vegetable oil. So we collect the dirty, used vegetable oil that restaurants use in fryers. We've got a couple of awesome restaurants that we source from, mainly Drift in Santa Teresa, Drift Bar, amazing restaurant, and also La Cevicheria. And so we collect it, let it sit for a while, use gravity, water drops, the solids drop, and then we filter it 4 times over there in these barrels, and then by the time it hits the last filter, it's down to 1 micron, and that's pretty pure. And then we go right from there to the tank, and the conversion was about $150. We used our friend's company from Los Angeles, Fatty Wagons. Check them out. Check out Kieran. He'll set you up with a kit if you want to try to do it. It's an easy install, and it's working out great for us. Of course, there's been trouble here and there, but we're figuring it all out. The next one I want to show you is our Polaris Ranger EV. This one's all electric. We've had it recently converted to lithium ion, so the batteries are much better, much lighter, and the battery should last at least 10 years. We got it originally with the standard lead acid batteries. They only lasted a couple of years. It was kind of a disaster. But now we're on lithium ion and it's working great. And then this is the new one. This is a BYD S1. We share this with our friends Matt and Susan. So we have it 1 week and they've got it a week. And this is kind of our driving outside of our community car. This one's great on the paved roads. So we've been taking weekend trips throughout Costa Rica, and when we need to drive to San Jose, we're going to take this car. And so the great thing about all electric vehicles in Costa Rica is that Costa Rica has done a really good job putting chargers, especially the rapid chargers, all over the country. So it's pretty easy to drive anywhere you want, and you stop for like an hour and you can get like an 80% charge, and it works out pretty well.
Do you want to talk about what happened to us recently, though?
Well, we went to the northwest part of the country up in Guanacaste, and it so throughout most of the country there's one power company. It's called ICE, and but up in that area where we were, up near Tamarindo, there's another company called Coapa Guanacaste, and they don't really, they're not putting in the rapid chargers, just the 220-volt chargers. So we really had to strategize, and we basically made it home with like, under 10%.
And we went to one, and it wasn't working.
Yeah.
And that could really screw up your entire trip if you're counting on finding this charger, and then you show up, and it doesn't work. So,
Yeah.
but for the most part, it is working pretty good in this country.
And this car came with a home 220-volt charger, and so normally, when you're at home, it's really easy. You just charge overnight. It's never a problem. But when you take road trips, you've got to really plan out your charging. There's an app called PlugShare that has all of the Costa Rican charge points listed. So
Is it only for Costa Rica?
no, I think it's international, but I'm pretty sure it's international.
Cool. And then what's this thing above your head?
Well, this is part of our no fossil fuels plan. Is the whole roof of this carport is made out of solar panels. So we've got 24 solar panels. It's a grid-tied system. In the rainy season, we do have to pull from the grid, but that's not so bad because the Costa Rican grid is 98% renewable. It comes from a dam. So we don't feel too bad about when we do need to pull electricity from the grid.
Yeah. And you're talking about the solar panels.
Talking about the solar panels.
Yeah. Great. And that powers the house.
Powers everything.
It powers everything.
Yeah. It's our whole power source. And we get almost all our power during the dry season from the solar panels.
It's our solar system.
That's our solar system. And during the rainy season, we take some from the grid as well.
Cool.
Honey, what have you got?
Okay. So this week, I should say this past weekend, I did a lot of outdoor work, and I was focusing on these plants called Sansevieria, aka mother-in-law's tongue. And part of the reason why I like using these plants is I feel that they make nice pathing, and we're not going to show you a path today, but I am going to show you the plant. I'm afraid that it'll jump off the Wi-Fi if I take you out there, so you'll just have to wait till a picture arrives, and we'll have that on the Green Wave House page of like the pathing that we're creating. So last year I had like lined several paths, knowing that they would produce their little children, or what we call down here hijos, which means children. And so when they have the hijos that grow next to it, you can take the hijos and then they can grow up into their own plants. And so I pulled hijos from the old pathing and completely finished another path, which was super exciting. And so they make great pathing, and they're beautiful, but they're also antiviral. And so as we continue to live in this world where, we have things that we might need to heal ourselves from, or at least try to boost our immunity from, I just thought it was really important to have a lot of this plant around. So what I'm holding in my hand actually is a beverage I made from the Sansevieria, and because of a event that we held this past week, very small event due to the times that we're in, but called Frody Fest, which was inspired by my cat, Ken and I's cat Frody, who I had for 20 years. Ken had for about 10. And Frody passed about 5 years ago, and so we've been throwing this 3-day, very small festival called Frody Fest. And the first day is May the 4th. So May the 4th, be with Frody, and all cats and felines everywhere. And so I made this drink called Yodalicious.
Because we play what movie on that night?
Because we always play a Star Wars movie. Hello, May the 4th. May the Force be with everybody. So this is Yoda color. So Yoda-licious. So now I can go and show you the Sansevieria plant. And this is it tastes a little bit better. It kind of tastes like water with like a scent of grass. But if you put lime juice in it, it actually tastes really good. It still has that grass smell though, so you feel like it's healthy. Okay, let's go. And I'm not a doctor, I'm just a wig. This, by the way, since we're taking a tour, this is called Bitter Drops, and this is super great as well. This can help with like hangovers. But this is good if you live in Costa Rica or South America or Central America. I think it's really important to work with the plants that are indigenous to your area. So a lot of people that we know are still over in North America. So I wouldn't necessarily go trying to source this just because you want like a hangover cure. It's like there's probably plants that you have as well that you could work with instead. And so I recommend doing that. But if you're here, you're one of our friends here, that's the Bitter Drops. Propagate super easy. So I'm gonna duck.
Okay.
So here it is, Sansevieria. And mind you, I read a lot. I don't always say things out loud, so I don't know if that's the proper pronunciation, but mother-in-law's tongue. So this makes the Yoda-licious. And that is a wrap for our Farm Talk Friday.
There's a couple other shots of the mother-in-law tongue.
Yeah.
Recognize it?
This is just off the side of the house, and this actually is kind of everywhere. Like you'll see this in malls a lot. And I pulled plants here to use for the pathing this past weekend as well. So it was actually a little bit more filled in. So anyways, thanks for joining us. Farm Talk Friday. We'll see you next week.
Woohoo!
Yay.